Hey, it's Elm the Realm, and welcome back to Elm's Trains Tuesdays. And before I properly start the video, I just want to apologize about the fact that it's been such a large gap in between episode 1 and 2 of Elm's Trains Tuesdays. I actually had a second episode, almost ready to go. It was still in the filming process. Originally, the second episode was going to be me rebuilding a Lego set that I got a while back from my grandma. It was a train Lego set. I don't know if I specified that. Obviously, it would be because this Elm's Trains Tuesdays. But anyway, I got to the point where I had everything sorted how I liked it, and then realized I was missing pieces, and I currently don't have the means to get those pieces. And so I had to brainstorm what to do, and I remembered I have this old roleplay world that I used to roleplay in Minecraft that has trains. So let's get on with the video proper. So, I'm just going to quickly show you the exteriors of these buildings by just quickly flying by. That's all they pretty much are. Anyway, the first locomotive I have here to show off was built by CraftyFoxe. I will link him down in the description below, maybe even all of his channels, because he designed and made tutorial videos for a good majority of the locomotives and rolling stock you'll be seeing in today's video. So, the first thing is the Stirling single class steam locomotive. Now, I did edit a few things here on this build compared to the original build. I believe I added the lantern here on the little post. I added the number 40. This side doesn't really do it justice, but let's just get a long look around. So yeah, the first one is the Stirling single. The character I used to play as purchased a Stirling single. I don't know if that's prototype accurate, if there's more than the single Stirling single. But anyway, he purchased a Stirling single and repurposed it as his own home, along with a teak coach. So, that being said, this teak coach was also designed by CraftyFoxe. I added these lanterns here on the outside of the doors. Then I think I changed the glass to be tinted. That's tinted, right? Yeah, that's tinted. And then on the inside here is the kitchen that I added for my character. My character's bedroom. It's got his bed, some plants on some bedside tables, some signs that are meant to be posters saying different factions from Fortnite, song lyric from a song that I like, which in turn made my character like it, a little office area, another poster, then the bathroom, this one being just the toilet, and then if we go over here to the carriage that I built, it houses the bathroom sink and the bathroom shower. So, like I said, this little coach I built on my own. It's somewhat based off of the, like, very early on coaches that you may see the, not the Flying Scotsman, the Stephenson's rocket pulling. But, speaking of Stephenson's rocket, we'll be seeing that later on in the episode. But, the other thing that I built here, not based on a tutorial or anything, are these buffers that the Sterling single is in between. All of them have, most of the locomotives and rolling stock will have piston buffers, and so I put piston buffers on the buffers. It's confusing. I don't even know if that's the proper terminology for this thing. If you know, please leave a comment. Also, I think I said this in my last Elms Trains Tuesdays. I probably should have said it a bit earlier in the video, but if you have any ideas for the next episode of Elms Trains Tuesdays, please comment it. I actually need to quickly admit this, like, my third or fourth time trying to refilm this. But I do have an episode 3 already in mind, and I'll tell you more about it once we get over there. But anyway, that was the Sterling single. I will quickly add before I get ahead that this world, I may actually roleplay in it again. I don't know if I'll actually film or anything. It may just be like a thing for fun between me and my friends. But one thing I will also add to that, this is actually an outdated variant of this world, and I'll point out that stuff once I get over to, well, where I'm going to cut to. So, I will be right back. And I'm back. So, another thing that I forgot to mention, I will actually mention at the end of the video and not here. So stay tuned for that. If you want to learn a bit more of what this skin is for. Anyway, how you get between the different areas is a nether portal. Here we are in a shed. It's like an abandoned shed. That's also supposed to be like a railroad shed with equipment and whatnot. Anyway, let's go this way quickly before we get to all of those locomotives. What I was going to say is that had this world been completely up to date as of when I'm filming this, as of more of the most recent version that I built in, I don't know where that is, it could be on an old Xbox, but anyway, there would have been another 3 things here. 2 German locomotives from the World War II era, buffered up to the World War II Nazi rail cannon. I can't remember exactly what it's called. I think it might be the Gustav rail cannon, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know if I am, but those were built by CraftyFoxe. Again, like I said, I'm going to be putting CraftyFoxe's channel in the description. If you're curious to see any of these builds, build them for yourself, but also just because it's the right thing to do to credit him as the person who designed and made tutorials for the majority of these locomotives and pieces of rolling stock. Anyway, this area was supposed to be a railroad museum. It still is eventually going to be a railroad museum, because I'm probably going to have my friends roleplay with me again on this world. Anyway, with that being said, each locomotive, besides like maybe one or two, will have a little sign with info. So, this is the Coffee Pot steam locomotive. It was built in 1871, and it is the number one. One distinctive feature is it has a vertical boiler instead of a parallel boiler, which most steam locomotives do. So, one thing I may end up doing in a later video in Elms Trains Tuesdays is, instead of having it be all acacia here, I would change it to mangrove. Just because mangrove makes a lot more sense when it's supposed to be a red locomotive. Anyway, with the coffee pot, there is a little, what's it called? A coal hopper that it would pull. I don't know if that's accurate. If I were to update this coal hopper, it wouldn't have hoppers as wheels. It would probably have grindstones. But anyway, here's a rear view and a front view, and we had a decent side view of the coffee pot and the coal hopper. Alright. Next up, you may recognize this one. This one is the LB and SCR E2 class steam locomotive. The E2 was built from 1930 to 1916, and if you know anything about the E2, even just the slightest, even if you don't know that much about the E2, you'll immediately know it as the Thomas-looking tank engine. That's because that's what Thomas's basis was. In fact, there were two variants of the E2. There was one where it had a shorter side tank, and then there's this kind that Thomas was that has the extended side tank. Now you may be wondering, why is Thomas blue and why is this E2 brown? Well, I believe the brown is a more prototype accurate color. The blue, I don't think a single E2 would have ever been painted like that, but I don't know because I don't have time travel abilities. Anyway, here is the rear view, the front view, and the somewhat decent side view of the E2. Next up, so these first two were built by CraftyFoxe, but next up, this one was built by my friend, the one who actually made this skin, and, the other skin you've seen me using in Realm of Death, if you watch Realm of Death. Anyway, this locomotive is the Virginia and Truckee No. 20 Tahoe, built in 1875 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works. Here's a decent 20. It's also got a 20 on that side. It says Tahoe there. Anyway, here's the front view of that, the rear view, and the somewhat chaotic side view. I can't really get a good side view. I guess one thing we could do is take a quick look at all the wheels. So there's the wheels on the coffee pot. Here's the wheels on the E2. And here are the wheels on the Tahoe. So, with that, There's the Tahoe, and the next build is another CraftyFoxe build. And you know her. You love her. It's the LNER A3 Pacific 60103, or better known as the LNER Flying Scotsman. The Flying Scotsman was the first ever locomotive on record to reach 100 miles an hour. Now, yes, I know there's others that have been claimed to have been the first to go 100 miles an hour, but the Flying Scotsman, she was the first to, on record, go 100 miles an hour. So anyway, here's a nice side view of the Flying Scotsman, and you may know, or may not know, that this build is not actually prototype accurate. So these smoke deflectors would not have been on the locomotive while the locomotive had a second tender. And I believe I opted to add a second tender with the smoke deflectors. But you may actually know that in Thomas and Friends, the Flying Scotsman actually has the smoke deflectors and the two tenders, so it is accurate to the show, but not real life. Anyway, here is a front view, a rear view, a side view, and a wheel view. Alright, next up is the little train I was talking about earlier in the video, the L&MR Stephenson's Rocket. The Rocket was the first steam locomotive to pull a passenger train on the first intercity railway. I believe at one point it says the first successful steam locomotive to pull a passenger train on an intercity railway. I think I got my sources somewhere. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But, yeah. Here's a side view, rear view, front view, and a wheel view of the Stephenson's Rocket. Again, built by CraftyFoxe. Alright. Next is another locomotive built by the same person who built the Tahoe. This is the Pioneer, my friend who built the Tahoe and the Pioneer, and the one after that locomotive. You'll notice there's not any information on it. I don't think he could find any information on it. He just had photos. So it's the number 13 Pioneer of the CVRR. Please let me know if you know what that stands for down in the comments. Anyway, here's a rear view, front view, wheel view, and just because it's so small and there's nothing much known about it, or I don't know much about it, I'm just going to give us a little cab view. Alright, next is the biggest locomotive that still is under steam in the world. That's, I guess, the way you could put it. It wasn't the biggest ever built, despite popular belief. It wasn't. It is the Union Pacific Big Boy. I specifically decided I added this. Again, it was built and designed by CraftyFoxe. Number 4014 Big Boy. That's what I added because that's the one I saw in real life. because that's the only one preserved. Anyway, unfortunately, I never got around to building the tender, and I don't know if I ever will. But, here's a front view of the big boy. A side view. A cab view, nothing special. And the wheel view. Let's back up a bit. And the wheel view. Alright. Next is the final locomotive built by my friend. And then the one after that is going to be subject for episode 3. I'll still show it off in this episode. I just want to do stuff with it. Anyway, the last locomotive is the Baldwin Locomotive Works XXX. Designed to climb steep hills, it had a unique wheel configuration of 2 8 8 8 2. However, this made it use steam quickly. So its max its max speed was only 10 miles an hour. Here's the front view of the XXX, the side view, and the wheel view. And finally, the rear view. Now, I'm going to warn you, you may have caught glimpses of it, but this next locomotive is an abomination. Alright, okay, with that in mind, there's the front view of it. The side view, the rear view, a quick wheel view, and a bit of a cab interior. It's got a smoke box, levers that don't do anything, gauges, buttons, more gauges, and actually, that's where the coal is stored. Oh, oops. And there's the final gauge up here where the funnel is. This is where the water goes. And yeah, like I said, it's an abomination. It doesn't look good at all. But anyway, I actually gave this locomotive lore, and I forgot to mention, unless I mentioned earlier, I cannot remember. I'm tired while making this video. Anyway, this locomotive was built by me. That's why it's an abomination. It was not built by CraftyFoxe or my friend. It was all me. It's on me. That's why it's an abomination. Anyway, I gave this abomination a bit of lore, for whatever reason. So, this is the Westland Railroad Museum number 1 mesh locomotive, or Beth. Beth is a one-of-a-kind locomotive made by Westland Railroad Museum using parts of other locomotives that were beyond repair. So, there was only parts that the other locomotive, like let's say, I don't know, a tender on one of the other locomotives that was not, the tender was usable, but the rest of the locomotive was not. It would have been used on this. Anyway, Beth is a 2-4 plus 6-2 wheel configuration locomotive. I don't know if that's actually accurate, though. Anyway, with that being said, I'm sorry for the clicks. I moved my phone. You may have been able to hear that earlier. I apologize. I don't want to edit too much of this video. I actually struggled to do the intro, so that's for sure getting cut. But anyway, episode 3 is going to be fixing this abomination. I hope you look forward to that. Quick fun fact. This locomotive here, the triplex, I saw this, and I thought, hey, this kind of looks like a front of a locomotive, possibly. And so, here's, how I thought it was the front of a locomotive. I saw this as, like, the chimney, this as the front pilot, and yeah, that's pretty much what I saw, and I brought it over here, and I'm not proud of it. So, I do want to keep it in similar concept of it being a locomotive that's just hodgepodged together. But, like, for example, this whole cap has to go. I may, in fact, add another set of wheels here in the middle. I'm not too sure exactly what all I'll do. I guess we'll wait to figure that out together. By the way, these here are like handbrakes, for just in case. But, I don't think that would be accurate, but you know, this is a hodgepodged together locomotive. Anyway, enough rambling. I'm going to say this now. This skin was made for the Realm of Death by the friend who made the Triplex, the Pioneer, and the Tahoe. For my main series, Realm of Death, I'm sure I said that, just barely. Anyway, this outfit is for the Realm of Death. My main series, it's kind of like a roleplay series, but also not. It's complicated. Anyway, that's what this outfit is for, is the Realm of Death. The next episode, my goal, maybe even next few episodes, is for me, more characterized me, to go to a world all about trains. And this outfit is actually based on the driver's outfit from Thomas and Friends. So that's where this outfit comes from. But, quickly, before I do the outro, I gave you that bit of information. I have a huge announcement coming out. It's just a matter of time, because I plan on, soon after that announcement video coming out, stuff to change. I'll tell you what will change, but anyway, it's been the Realm, and I will see y'all loves later. Goodbye.